Hey, what's up, you guys? WWE Fan 0599 here again. And welcome back to WWE Fans TV Recap Show. And today's recap show will be for the Muppets. So, this episode of the Muppets is entitled Walk the Swine. I believe, yeah, it's Swine. Like I said, like I always do for all of these episodes, there's going to be spoilers. So if you have not seen the episode, please do not watch this review. But if you have seen the episodes, or just don't care about spoilers, continue on watching. So just a quick spoiler warning for you. Let's get right into it. So what this episode is basically about, it's about, Miss Piggy, she has this, feud with Reese Witherspoon. And, because she took the part from her from Walk the Line, which that was pretty funny. And, she is going to try, she does houses. Reese Witherspoon does build houses for charity. So what Miss Piggy decides to do is she's like, I'm going to beat her at this. So, yeah, that's what the basic plot of this episode was. So, what did I think of this week's episode? A really good episode. I really enjoyed it. I will admit, it's so far the weakest episode of the season, but I still enjoyed it. It's still a really enjoyable episode. I still had a fun time watching this episode, so yeah. So let's get into my positives, and my positives are the acting. The acting was really good from this episode. I really enjoyed everybody in this episode. Everybody did a nice job, in my opinion, The acting was really good with the episode. I thought, like I said, everybody did a nice job in the episode, so yeah. The acting was really good. The comedy really worked in this episode. There were some jokes, when Miss Piggy's talking to Reese Witherspoon, she's like, I had to build cows and milk fences or something like that. And Reese was like, don't you mean the other? And Piggy's like, no, it's exactly what I said. And I was like, what? And so that was funny. I thought that was pretty funny. So yeah, jokes like that were really funny. The comedy did really work in this episode, so yeah, I did really like, the comedy with the episode. The comedy was really funny. The writing was really good. Like I said, the writing was really good with the episode. So yeah, I liked Reese Witherspoon, the guest stars. I'm loving these guest appearances. They're really awesome, and Reese Witherspoon definitely was really funny in this episode. I really enjoyed the whole feud with her and Miss Piggy. It was by far the funniest thing about the episode. I really enjoyed that, so yeah. The directing was really good with the episode. Like I said, that's the thing I praise about the most with this series. The whole mockumentary type directing with this series. It's great, and I love it. It's definitely fantastic. It's by far my favorite thing of this series. It's this mockumentary type directing. It's great, I love it. So yeah, definitely was awesome with this episode. So yeah. Now let's talk about some of the moments in this episode, because there were a lot. Let's first talk about the whole thing with Miss Piggy and Reese Witherspoon. When Reese, they're building, houses and everything, and she's like, this is not a competition. This is not a whole thing with press. This is just for charity. And, Miss Piggy's like, yeah, I know. And we really know she's just doing it for the press. And, and then they have a feud, basically, and they have a competition now. They have a competition to try and see who can do better. We'll get more into that later on. So, yeah. There's this whole thing with Fonzie and his girlfriend Betty. I believe her name is Betty. This whole thing with her and Betty. He's telling jokes about her personal things that she does. And, she's not buying it. She's not having it. And then when she goes to the office, basically, to the Muppets office, and starts telling personal things about Fonzie's life, and what he does, that was pretty funny, especially when he cries over this Cyndi Lauper song called Show Your True Colors. By far, the second funny, we'll get into what the funniest thing was about the episode, but this was by far the second funniest thing. She's like, you crying? He's like, no! I'm like, that was just too funny. It really was. It was too funny. Really funny moment. It had me dying laughing, basically. So yeah, that was really funny. And when you see Reese and Miss Piggy, they're fighting, and she takes the phone away from Miss Piggy, and she pushes Reese into one of the houses. The house falls down, and she's like, oh, did you all feel that earthquake? And then she pushes Reese, and she's like, oh, that aftershock. I'm like, Oh my goodness. But yeah. And then Miss Piggy, basically, the reputation is now ruined. Like, no more guests are coming on, all the sponsors. Kermit's freaking out, basically. And, and Miss Piggy's like, let's just bring Reese back on the show, and I will apologize. So, they bring her back. Reese, she apologizes. And, and then Miss Piggy, she goes overboard with the apology. Like, she brings out dancing group, starts rapping. I'm not kidding you. It was like, so what is going on? And so hilarious at the same time. It was by far the funniest thing about the episode. It really was. It had me dying. I was just like going like, what? Like, it was just so funny, so out of place, but like a good out of place. It was so funny. So it's like an RKO from out of nowhere. You just don't expect it. That's what it was, and I really like that. That was really funny with the episode. So yeah. But yeah. I do have a few negatives, however, with this episode. My negatives are there's this whole other storyline with Ronzo and Kermit's assistant. The one with the red hair. He like crashed into his car. Ronzo crashed into his car, and like he brings on all these all these things. Ronzo has all these things for him, and it was just very out of place and just wasn't useful at all. It was very disinteresting, the whole plot line. So I felt like they could have cut that from the episode. So yeah, they need to learn how to function with some of these segments. They need to like have if they're not like. They need to make it more interesting. Some of the side, the side plots, I guess you could say. But because I found that very disinteresting, so yeah. I felt like after they apologized to each other, Betty and Fonzie, when they like apologize to each other and keep things personal, I thought that dragged out, because then she's like, oh, you can use your jokes about my personal life now since they're not working for you. I thought that dragged a bit. I was like, really? So yeah, that's just what I thought. And my last negative is that there were some jokes that I thought did fall flat at parts. I was like, was I supposed to laugh at that at some moments? So yeah. But besides that, I really enjoyed this episode. This episode was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it's my least favorite of the season so far, but that's not saying much because I've enjoyed all of them. So yeah, still an enjoyable episode. So it's time for my official grade on this episode, and my official grade on this episode is a B+. I really enjoyed it. This was a good episode, so yeah. So what you guys think of this week's episode? Leave in the comment section below. I'm WWE Fan 0599, and we'll see you all later. Peace.